25th April 2026. Tampa, Florida. Raymond James Stadium. Capacity 75,000. Sold out. And that's just the first night. 3 nights in Tampa. Then El Paso. Then Mexico City. Stanford. Las Vegas. All within 1 month. BTS's North America tour is not just a concert. This is something that has never happened before at this scale, in this context, with this much emotional weight. But there's one thing almost nobody is talking about amid all the excitement. How heavy is the preparation that Jimin and the other 6 members are actually carrying right now? Because behind all the hype, behind all the sold outs, behind all the anticipation from millions of armies who have already bought tickets and planned their trips, there are 7 people carrying a burden that is anything but small. And if you understand the full context, you will see this American leg in a very different way. That's what we're going to talk about today. Stay until the end, because there is one detail about the preparation for this American leg that almost nobody has noticed, and that detail changes the way you see the entire picture. Hello everyone, welcome back. Here, we discuss the world of K-pop and BTS in a way that's a little different from most channels, deeper, more analytical, and always trying to find the angle that others haven't thought of. If you're here for the first time and you like content that makes you think further than just surface-level news, this is the right place for you. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. Okay, let's get into it. To understand why this North America leg is so important and why the preparation currently underway is far more than just ordinary rehearsals, we need to look at the big picture first. BTS last did a full world tour in 2021 through 2022 with permission to dance on stage. After that, hiatus, military service, nearly 4 years without a tour together. Then, the comeback happened. The album Arirang was released on March 20th, 2026, a concert at Gwanghwamun. The tour began in Goyang on April 9th. 3 nights in Korea went phenomenally. Goyang Stadium was packed. Rain didn't stop anyone. Clips from those concerts spread across every corner of the internet. And now, less than 2 weeks after Goyang, they have to be in America, at larger stadiums, with higher expectations, in front of an audience that has been waiting 4 years and quite literally does not want to see a single second that feels like anything less than perfect. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 3 nights, April 25th, 26th, and 28th, 2026. Then Sun Bowl Stadium in El Paso, Texas, 2 nights, May 2nd and 3rd. On to Mexico City, 3 nights, on May 7th, 9th, and 10th. Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California, May 16th and 17th. And then Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, 3 nights on May 23rd, 24th, and 27th. The total? 15 shows in less than 5 weeks, 15 times stepping onto a stadium stage, 15 times giving everything, in 5 different cities in 2 countries on a schedule that doesn't leave much room to breathe. And Jimin, alongside his 7 fellow members, is preparing for all of that right now. Now let's talk about what's actually happening behind the preparation for this American leg, because there are layers that aren't immediately visible from the outside. The first layer is the most obvious, physical preparation. Goyang already proved one thing. Performing in heavy rain on a wet and slippery stage for 2.5 hours is not easy. Jimin himself admitted he was soaked through to his underwear. Jungkook was worried about the armies getting rained on. V nearly slipped and turned it into an improvised move. 3 nights like that already drain an enormous amount of energy, and now they have to do it 15 more times within a month, in different weather, in different time zones, on stages they have never stepped foot on before. Physical preparation is not just about choreography rehearsals. It's about stamina management, about recovery between shows, about keeping bodies that are now older, far different from the bodies they had in their 20s during the last tour, in optimal condition through a schedule that is anything but forgiving. The second layer, and this is the more interesting one, is psychological preparation. North America is not just a tour destination. For BTS, America carries a symbolic weight that is different from anywhere else in the world. This is the hardest market in the global music industry. This is the place where Dynamite first topped the Billboard Hot 100. This is the place where the argument that BTS is the biggest group in the world, not just in K-pop, first received its most concrete proof. And after 4 years away, returning there is not something that can be approached with standard preparation. But wait, because there is one dimension of the preparation for this American leg that almost nobody discusses anywhere, and that relates directly to how Jimin specifically is approaching this moment. If you pay attention to Jimin's journey during the BTS hiatus, when each member was pursuing solo activities, there is one pattern that is remarkably consistent. At every major preparation phase he has gone through, Jimin has always displayed one combination that few artists possess simultaneously: extreme perfectionism and a very open vulnerability. He is the person who judges himself the hardest. This is no secret. Over the years, in various interviews and interactions with fans, Jimin has repeatedly said that the standards he applies to himself far exceed the standards others apply to him. When the album Face was released in 2023 and landed at number 2 on the Billboard 200, an objectively extraordinary achievement, Jimin's first reaction wasn't euphoria. He spoke about things he still wanted to improve, about artistic aspects he felt hadn't been fully realized yet. And now, facing an American leg that stands as one of the greatest tests of his career as part of a fully reunited BTS, that same pattern is most likely playing out behind the scenes. Not in a negative sense, but in the sense that Jimin is, as he always does, wringing himself out to deliver something that surpasses expectations. And that, from the perspective of fans who have followed his journey, is something that is simultaneously awe-inspiring and concerning.
And this is the part that rarely gets discussed. This North America leg of the Arirang World Tour is not just big in scale, it is big in historical context. Industry analysts have already been talking about the possibility of this tour surpassing the financial achievements of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. That is a benchmark that has almost never been mentioned for any artist outside of Swift herself in recent years. And the American leg, covering some of the largest and most lucrative markets, is the most decisive part of that calculation. Tampa alone, with 3 shows at Raymond James Stadium, has the potential to bring in more than 200,000 attendees. Add Las Vegas with 3 nights at Allegiant Stadium. Add Stamford. Add El Paso, which sold out in a matter of hours despite not being a major metropolitan city, a fact that already speaks volumes on its own about BTS's reach. But there's a number more interesting than all of those. Not the ticket numbers, not the revenue numbers, but the fact that for the first time in nearly 10 years of BTS's career, they will perform in El Paso, Texas, a city that is not a major city, a city that doesn't appear on the radar of most international tours, a city that is geographically and demographically very different from New York, LA, or Chicago, the usual centers of attention. Why El Paso? Because ARMY is everywhere. And one of the commitments BTS has expressed repeatedly on various occasions in various languages is that they want to reach fans who have never before had the chance to see them in person. The decision to include El Paso in this tour is not the most financially profitable decision by pure calculation, but it is a decision that is consistent with the character BTS has always shown from the beginning. And for fans in El Paso who may have never imagined they would see BTS up close, that moment carries a meaning that cannot be measured by any number. Now let's talk about ARMY's reaction, because one thing that cannot be separated from the narrative of this American leg's preparation is how the fan community has responded, and that response itself has become part of the larger story. On Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, and Weverse, conversations about this North America tour have been ongoing since tickets first went on sale in January 2026. Threads about the best way to get resale tickets, about which hotels are closest to Raymond James Stadium, about how the BTS concert experience at an outdoor venue differs from indoors. All of this has been debated and discussed for months. But as April 25th draws closer, more and more of the content being posted is no longer logistical, it's emotional. There are armies posting stories about this being their first BTS concert after years of trying to get tickets. There are those posting about flying in from other countries, from Indonesia, from Brazil, from the Philippines, just to be in Tampa. There are those posting old photos from BTS concerts they attended years ago, compared alongside the 2026 concert tickets they now hold in their hands. And there is one thread that is very simple, yet resonated extraordinarily widely on Twitter. Someone wrote, "I bought my Tampa ticket the day I got discharged from hospital. I needed something to look forward to." That tweet was retweeted tens of thousands of times, and it encapsulates something that is rarely ever defined precisely about what BTS and Jimin as one of its primary faces represents to millions of people. Not merely entertainment, but something to move toward, something at the end of a long tunnel.
And here is the climax. Behind all the numbers, 75,000 seats per night, 15 shows in 5 weeks, estimated revenue competing with the greatest records in touring history, there is one most fundamental question. What does all of this mean for the 7 people who will stand on that stage? Jimin once said before the tour began, in very simple words, that what he was looking forward to most was the first moment of seeing the faces of armies who had been waiting so long. Not about the massive stadium, not about ticket sales figures, not about comparisons with other artists, just that first moment. And now imagine, April 25th, 2026, Tampa, Florida, Raymond James Stadium. The stadium lights begin to dim, 7 figures walk onto the stage, 75,000 people raise their light sticks at the same time, and among the 7 people standing there is a man who has carried the immense pressure of preparation, who has set standards impossibly high for himself, who has served nearly 2 years of military service and endured nearly 4 years away from touring together, who finally, that night, sees directly the faces of the people he promised to return to. That moment has not happened yet as you watch this video, but it will. And when it does, it will be one of the most long-remembered moments of the entire Arirang World Tour. Not because it is the biggest, not because it is the most spectacular, but because it is the most honest. Now the question comes back to you. Are you one of those who will be in Tampa, El Paso, Mexico City, Stanford, or Las Vegas this month? Or are you one of those following from afar, tracking every update, every clip, every thread on Twitter? Tell me in the comments which city you're watching from, or which country you're following this tour from, because I'm certain the community watching this video is not just a passive audience. You are part of the larger story that is unfolding right now, and your personal stories are just as important as the big numbers that keep appearing in the headlines. If this video gave you a new perspective on just how immense and weighty the moment we are all facing together really is, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And in the next video, I'll be covering one specific thing that happened at the Tampa concert that nobody anticipated beforehand, something that shifted the energy of the entire night from already extraordinary to something far beyond that. See you there. And as always, thank you for watching until the end. You who do that are the reason this channel keeps going.